We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Good to be back. I know we were only off a day, but obviously LSU celebrated yesterday back at home the national championship. So I thought it worthy that we watch that instead. I thought you would rather watch that than listen to my big ass on this show and on this platform, but it was fun. Obviously, the best player in LSU history, Dylan Cruz, spoke. Kay Beloso spoke. Gavin Dugas, Paul Skeens, and Jay Johnson lit it up yesterday, which was really great to see. Then you had today. Did y'all hear the story from Trey Morgan about Thatcher Hurd? Thatcher Hurd, silent assassin with the DoorDash. My man. No wonder why Rhett Lauder came out pissed off. You took us damn Caesar salad with grilled chicken. I wonder if that's really what it was. But Thatcher Hurd taking Rhett Lauder's stuff. You got to love it. You got to love it. But we do have a massive show in store for you. Guess what? He's back. We're back. Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us here tonight at his normal time, not day. Carter has not been joining us because of the simple nature that it's been a lot of baseball stuff and our shows haven't been able to go off on time over the last couple of weeks. But good to have him back. Good for Carter to be back here with us. We'll finally start talking a little bit. Man, we got to start talking about LSU football, man. I mean, look, next week is July 4th. You got the SEC Media Days coming up. I mean, you kind of got to, man. It's not too long. September is kind of almost here. You got July and August, and here we go. So 2 more months, and we have LSU football out on the Ponderosa. So good to have Carter back with us. We'll talk a little football beforehand. We might touch a little bit of recruiting. I got to go back in a little bit on, I keep seeing this about people freaking out about Brian Kelly, but there are going to be some commitments, as we've been saying over the last couple of weeks, that you should be ready for the beginning of July. I think they get a couple within the next couple of weeks and start turning this ship around. Also, your boy went viral yesterday on Twitter. Texas fans not happy. Texas fans are not happy. I might touch on that. But the bottom line is, your head coach and you as a program have to have 10 wins before you start coming around here barking orders like you think you run the place. Oh, well, Blake, they're talking about negative recruiting. You don't even know what you're talking about. And they completely misconstrued it, which most Texas fans, they don't understand really anything. The bottom line is that when you come to LSU, it doesn't matter the sport, you win natties. Okay? We might touch on that as well. But I just kind of want to start recapping some of the offseason stuff I'm hearing, I'm seeing around LSU football. We'll talk about that as well. But the Portal King is back in his normal ways. I know that he is, as he does not like me saying, but a little paranoid, or was a little paranoid because, look, he was winning a national championship, but great players were going into the portal. I do think, though, that Jay's going to hit the portal again. Some of these might not be big household names, but I think he's going to have to do some things offensively. I think he's looking for, obviously, a guy on the mound. But the pitching staff already, if you can have a couple of arms, and I think you have an arm or two may leave. I think Garrett Edwards might enter the draft as well. That's a loss. But can you get back Newt? Can you get back you get back Newt? What am I talking about? Can you get back Grant Taylor? Can you get some of these things? I think you're going to be really good on the mound. Obviously, it's massive that you lose with Paul Skeens, but your mound as a collective whole is going to get better. I think that we'll have some news on the pitching coach stuff soon. So we'll touch on that a little bit as well. Touch on a little bit as that as well. Look, I don't know, and I missed this a little bit. I might, after Carter leaves, circle on this. I might circle back on this NCAA thing about. I mean, God dog it. The NCAA, man, they are just so bad at their jobs, man. They're so bad at their jobs. So we got a lot to talk about here tonight. Let's get to a couple comments, though, before we get rolling. Trip says, ask Blake, what about Chase Burns? He's obviously in the he's in the list to but I mean, you're a little behind. Let's see if Jay can get back. And that's none of Jay's fault, really. I mean, you can't really ask too much for him on that. But let's see if Jay can make up some ground. It's not that he's not trying. Bart Smolky says pitching coach timeline. I think within the next let me say this. I think officially, Bart, after the holidays, without question. I don't maybe Monday, maybe tomorrow. I think that they let me say it like this. I am 97% sure Jay has the not a guy, but the guy he wants in these contracts, which, Bart, I'm sure you know, sometimes small little details can hinder some things. But nevertheless, I think that he's got the guy and a guy that he would probably have wanted to be here. You know, I mean, Jay, even in the interview, Bart, with me and Matt Trent, I mean, like he said before Wes Johnson got the job at LSU last year, like he was like day one when he took out the LSU job, Wes Johnson was like the first call that he made. I think that Jay's always going to be good with the staff, man. Always going to be good. Chris says 65 days until the Florida State game. That is correct. Shane Duncan says, man, what are you hearing about Grant Taylor? Is he coming back? I have not heard a lot, Shane, to be real with you. Haven't heard a lot. Greg Duncan says, any word on pitching coach? We touched on that. Father Abear says, let's go champions. Blake got any intel on Texas pitching coach worth going after? I think maybe a look, but I think Jay's got his dude. And I'm taking a deep pause because I don't think, no, I mean, Jay's got his dude. Jay's got his dude. 97% sure. When I'm going to re-reference the time that I went blank here, and you're going to know why. This old vet says 9 weeks and a few days, but who's counting? Yeah, that's true. It's true. Ryan Guidry says, let's go. What's up, Ryan? What's happening tonight, my man? All right. We got a lot to get into. Want to get back into a little bit of football. Let's talk some football here. Just kind of a recap, man, because it's literally been a month, really, that we've touched deep in on football about the actual playing portion of it. It's my favorite time of year, man. I say this all the time. 4th of July, I know it's hotter than sin outside, but nevertheless, let's start talking about on the field performances. Garrett Nussmeier winning the freak of the week. My man's progressing. And look, this is what you wanted to see out of him, right? Like, you knew he had a talent, and time always, and we've talked about this at so many lengths, but just wanting to see the progression out of him. Just because you didn't think he should start last year doesn't mean he can't go mold into the player that you know that he can be. So with that being said alone, I do like that. So we'll talk about that. And guys, are we going to have to talk about Jane Daniels continuing this offseason of, throwing dimes out here in these streets? We're going to talk on that. We're going to go on the offensive side. All right, let's get rolling. Let's talk about our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and our good friends over at betonline.ag. Before we do that, if you're on Facebook, you guys have been killing it for us, man. Over 200,000 views within the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much for all your support and help. If you're doing us a favor right now and you're on Facebook, Hit the like, hit the share, share to all those social media groups, all of those social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us there with that algorithm. And, I mean, we've been putting up a lot of video clips just in case you missed the show or have to miss the show. You don't have to worry about it, man. You could just click on that subscribe button and maybe catch the clip of the next day as well. Wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. And all of you watching us on Fubo TV, thank you so much for doing so. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get back on the Ponderosa. I'll get to Jay Johnson and recruiting, and I know a lot of people are asking about the pitching coach. We'll do that as well. So stay tuned, man. It's going to be fun. Carter Bryant in about 15 minutes from right now. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varnado & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varnado & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Florida Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. I don't want to really waste any time, but I think that this is a really good thing to do based off of this comment I just saw. I think it was from Chase Lambert. Now I can't find it because I'm a Rudy Poo. Guys, Curtis. Excuse me. There it is. Curtis. Curtis says Jane Daniels is now number 2 in the Heisman odds. All right, let's start there because I do want to talk a little football. It's been some time, man, and it feels good to be back and doing that with y'all. So listen, there have been a lot of things that have seemed with LSU football and this LSU baseball run to kind of be missed a little. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I mean, we were focusing heavy on baseball over the last month, which there were times that we talked about this, and football was never out of the realm of speaking about it. But there were some good things that happened. I still think you're completely fine in recruiting. I know that the Texas video went viral, and they're like, oh, this guy's crying. Oh, everybody negatively recruits. Yeah, not so much and not so fast, my friend. And I will have to make a correction on the misprint from the IARP, which I will make the correction. I said that it was for 2025. They had made the documental error, and it's in 2023. The suspension is lifted in September of 2023 this year, and LSU football will not be on probation. You're fine in recruiting. In a couple of weeks, more things will come out, and everybody will be fired back up because, oh, well, I thought this kid was out, and I thought this kid wasn't coming here. Then you'll find out, and you will calm down. It's exactly what's happened the last 2 times under Brian Kelly. But now we got to kind of start talking about on the field, right? Like, we got to start talking about what's going to happen for the reigning and defending SEC West champs. We've talked a lot of speculation, right? We talked a lot of things like what this guy could do in the offseason. Like, it's been very individual player driven. Well, tonight we need to start talking about the team. And I will go based off of Jaden Daniels. Number one, let me start off with his backup right now in Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett getting the freak of the week for the summer workouts, I think, is a massive deal to me. Like, And like I mentioned, we have talked about this. I did not think Garrett was ready in the beginning of the season last year to take over as QB1 and lead you to a West title. Now, as the season went on, he got so much better. The last 2 games of the season, you saw him carve up Georgia, the national champion. Obviously, you saw what he did against Purdue. He still needs to work on some decision making, but like a lot of young quarterbacks, yeah, they do. They do. So him getting the freak of the week and Coach Flint talking about leadership being a massive part in all of this is a big deal to me. He's working his arse off. And so then you feel really good at where you sit right now. Like you more than likely have the best quarterback room in reference to not just talent, but when you talk about overall quarterback room, the talent is one thing. The experience and maturity is something completely different. Let me explain. Because USC might have Bryce Young and a really talented 5-star quarterback, but Caleb Williams is the only real guy in that locker room with quarterback experience at the P5 level. Same can be said at Tennessee. Same can be said at Florida State. Ohio State doesn't have any experience, just talent. I think you have not only really good experience in the LSU room, but you have a lot of talent, which leads me to your quarterback. Now, look, we're going to preface this by obviously saying there's going to have to be times that Jane Daniels throws the ball down the field. But you know what I love and why Garrett being here and the competition that is breeding in that room has pushed Jaden. Brian Kelly actually said that in a press conference. Well, like, hey, if Jaden doesn't have a great summer and he takes off all summer and he comes back and he looks like poo-poo, Garrett Nussmeier is going to start, which means to tell me he's sending his quarterback a message like, hey, man, like, listen, I told you all year it was your team last year, but don't forget that you got this young buck that really wants to play. And your quarterback responded pretty damn good. Because now, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter. The same type of consensus is starting to come out about your quarterback. Man, this guy's really kind of put on some muscle. And, man, this guy is really focused on getting the ball down the field. He's really worked on his processing skills. Now, I don't know if this is 1,000% true or not. Maybe he is number 2 in the Heisman odds. I did not see that, let me say. If he is, then we have a lot of people throwing in their weight for him because what they're seeing in the offseason. My whole point on this, and we'll do defense like Monday, Tuesday. Maybe we won't go live on Tuesday, but my thing in all of this is pretty simple. I think offensively that you have the potential to be the best overall offense in the SEC. I think that Tennessee might have more yards than you. I think that they might even score a little more points. And you might say, well, Blake, what does that mean? Like, how can they have more yards and more points? Well, I think when Tennessee plays more and better competition, that maybe with Joe Milton, that takes a little bit of a decline. But what I mean by LSU being the best overall offense is they're going to be very much more complete, which makes them better, whether it be in the run game, the pass game, doesn't really matter. And now I think that you're built to where you can, barring injury, you're built now to go a little up-tempo and maybe pick up some yards and points that you were able to not get last year because you did not want to burn out your defense. Now, we saw Ed Orgeron try to go fast offensively, and this is what makes Brian Kelly so much different and just an X's and O's guy and why he's an overall CEO. He slowed the game down pretty drastically so his defense could get a break. But all the while wanting to, at times, pick up the pace a little bit. Let's put some pressure on this team. Let's put some pressure on them. Your quarterbacks, plural, have responded to that and are going to continue to respond to that. I feel really good at what you have along the offensive line. seeing the transfers like Mason Lunsford, seeing Emory Jones, seeing Emory Jones kind of lose some of that baby fat and really adding muscle along with Will Campbell. I like the pieces that you have in the box, right? Like what we call the box, obviously in the run game, the front seven, but quarterback, running back, what you have in the box. Seeing a guy like Mason Taylor really putting on weight when, yeah, he was a freshman, but you look at him and you're like, oh, okay, like, so Mason Taylor has really taken this offseason and looks good. But man, I will just continue to say this as we start really breaking down the Ponderosa. The one thing that I want to make sure of, at least in my thought processes, is I think that you have three, possibly all four levels of your offense. You can make the argument is in the top one, top two in your conference. Like, would you take somebody else's offensive line? But you have really talented pieces there. I think you have a really talented core of young running backs and veteran running backs. I think your quarterback room is the best in the SEC. I think your receivers are could be potentially from a freak standpoint be some of the best. Aaron Anderson's health is absolutely progressing, and you talk to coaches out there on the Ponderosa. They're like, yeah, Aaron Anderson's a dude. Aaron Anderson's a dude. Year one under Brian Kelly, somehow, some way, really and truthfully, let's call it what it is, with the talent that you had, but more true to that, the coaching that you had, it's picked up on another level. I think it's going to pick up another level this year. Look, I'm not saying that we're going to win a national title. I'm not saying that I'm buying into Kim Mulkey in year two, Jay Johnson in year two, Brian Kelly in year two. I am a very superstitious person, and I lean on things. But when it comes to the actual takes of it, I just think offensively you're built in a much better way, in a much better capacity than you were the last three seasons by far. You had a lot of draft picks. You had a lot of dudes. But I think you got – guys, look what you have in that running back room. Look what you have along the offensive line. You have two offensive linemen that could sub in. You have 7 dudes right now that can play. 7 guys right now that can play. I think your starting offensive line, maybe not day one. Maybe they'll work some things in. But I think day one against Florida State, barring injury again, Emory Jones, Mason Lunsford, I think that there's obviously the battle between Charles Turner and Marlon Martinez. Left guard, Miles Frazier, and left tackle, that being Will Campbell. Guys, that's going to be a pretty damn good offensive line. And by the way, I said 7 being conservative because I think Marlon Martinez gets in there. But also I believe that you have Dellinger, who Brian Kelly really likes. And let's call it what it is. You have the beast at right tackle that I don't know if Lansard's going to crack his way in here, but I think that he will. Right? Like, I think at some point Lansard's going to crack into that lineup, and you're going to be like, man, we can really run. We can really throw it based off of what you saw from your quarterbacks and them leading. Guys, Garrett Nussmeier is leading your team. Jane Daniels leading your team. I just feel so confident in where you're at right now. And if you're a AYS truther from the very, very beginning, I get these feelings on these national championship teams. I'm not saying that you're going to do it. You got a long way to go. You got a tough schedule. But, man, do I feel good. All right, let me touch on this very quickly before Carter, the Power Bryant, is going to join us. My man did Carter Bryant actually fall in love with baseball? I think he fell in love with baseball. I got to throw that out there. 2 things. Number one, I just want to make a very pretty massive emphasis if it's not already done. I think it's already done, but just in case. Guys, Jay Johnson is not of this planet. He is not of this planet when it comes to recruiting. I think if Jay Johnson ever wanted to make the flip to football, I really think he could do it. And strictly recruiting. I don't think he would want to coach a position, but from a recruiting standpoint, that man can recruit anybody. That man has been so paranoid going on this national championship run, and probably paranoid's a word he didn't like me to use, but paranoid in the sense of that he's really wanting to hit the portal so hard that you get to a place with him, and a place where it's like, man, Jay, now that he's released, how's this going to work? Let me say this. There's not the big names out there in the portal this year like Tommy Tanks or Paul Skeens. Chase Burns will be the only one, and you're on the heels going after that. I do think that there would be some familiar names if you watched all of this baseball World Series that are in the portal that maybe you're looking at and that could be here because you got to replace some of the things that you're going to do defensively. Like outside of Tommy Tanks, you're replacing your entire infield. You're replacing possibly two of your outfielders. So only thing you got really left, Bear Jones, Pearson, and Tanks. Now you might get some guys back, maybe Travinsky, maybe Joe Bear. We'll see. But I tell you, Jay's going to hit the portal, and I think he already has a plan, and you're about to see it enacted on what he's going to do on his staff, what he's going to do in the portal. Like, he knows dudes that he wants. Now, were they able to go to different places because Jay couldn't get him to Baton Rouge? Maybe. But I do have a lot of faith in Jay that he is about to go out there and make some moves. One thing that I feel confident about. Now, this has been brought up in my DMs and mentions. So I want to mention it here. And I probably could go on a 5-minute rant on this, but I'm going to have to cut it short, unfortunately. The last two national champions in college baseball, Mississippi and Mississippi State, the next year that they played, or the next season, didn't go well for them. I see a lot of people talking about that. That's Ole Miss and Mississippi State. This is LSU. This is LSU. It's going to be a little different. Okay? It's going to be a little different. The days that LSU has massive losing records like Mississippi State and Ole Miss, yeah. Good luck with that hot take. Good luck with that one. Because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right. Let's get to Carter Bryant. And yes, I do believe 97% sure. And a name that you're going to really like. And it's, things will make sense. We'll talk about it on the show when it happens, but it's going to make a lot of sense. All right. Let's talk about our good friend Tyler Alexander over at eXp Realty and our good friend Carol Falls over at State Farm. Don't go anywhere. He's back.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. I'm glad you enjoyed your break away from the show, sir, because for the next 8 months, you're going to be on this show every week. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm just happy Dylan Cruz and the whole gang got it done. I will say this.
You fell in love with baseball.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm happy when the team wins, and I'm happy that they found different
And how
ways.
great was it you sitting there watching 11 innings and then Tommy Tanks hitting the massive bomb?
Barrel on ball, baby. It's just perfect hitting. But
isn't it intense?
It's great. And the games move faster with the pitch clocks, and Kevin O'Sullivan doesn't have to make 50 mound visits because obviously he can't count. But
I love the reference.
Yeah, there you go. What I would tell you, though, from a memorabilia standpoint, be very lucky you got your Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens autographs when you did, Blake. Because I actually
well, let me just give a quick shout out. Well, it's not for now. But
no, don't do it.
Yeah,
don't
it's
go
not
your
for now.
plug, man. Because next thing you know, your DMs are going to be
well. I'm just listen. Dylan's a different dude, man. Like Paul Skeens. Like I think Paul Skeens is the best and worst best pitcher to ever put on a jersey. Dylan Cruz, from a career, from a stamp, he's the best LSU Tiger ever. Okay, like let's not misunderstand that. Okay, like
I would agree with that.
He won a natty. He had the highest on base percentage. Carter, he went an entire year of getting on base at least once.
That's crazy.
The dude had a 423 batting average. He hit 18 home runs. He walked and scored 100 runs in the year.
That's crazy.
Dude, he is the best LSU Tiger of all time, bro. I don't want to hear – I know what you're going to say. Well, what about Chad Jones? By the way, you saw Chad Jones' son was with Frank Wilson?
Yeah. I love it.
We might get to that. But is he not the best LSU Tiger baseball of all time?
Yeah, and he's just up there, just the best athletes. I mean, honestly.
Well, Carter, do you remember when I did the top 10 and everybody's like, why is Blake got Dylan Cruz at number 6?
Yeah. I want everyone in the chat right now. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you think Dylan Cruz is like top 5 LSU athletes of all time?
Okay.
Here's my argument.
I'm going to go Y.
Here is my argument. Okay. So in poker, there's a term called getting maximum value, right? If you have a big hand, it's not you getting a big hand that matters. It's you extracting the most money out of that hand that you have, right? That it's not.
We got more than our hand's worth.
That's the thing. It's whether or not you agree Dylan Cruz is in top 5 or top 10 list. One thing you cannot disagree with is every second this guy played, he was elite. There was never a time, even just right out the bat, he was a freshman All-American.
The only player to be a 2-time SEC player of the year.
Yes, exactly. So I just think even if you don't think he is in the upper echelon with, Shaq and Burrow and all those guys, you cannot disagree when it comes to maximizing what you could potentially give a program. Won a national championship, obviously won the Golden Spikes. That's the Heisman. And look, I'm a football guy, so I'm always going to, lean football, basketball. But Dylan Cruz is got to be up there. I mean, you cannot disagree. Once again, from a poker standpoint, you got pocket aces and you got everybody else to go all in and you won the hand. And that is what truly makes them special, right? And then my favorite Dylan Cruz stat, and we'll get into football, is just that Tommy Tank stat, his batting average, where Dylan Cruz is on base compared to when he's not on base. That stat still blows my mind, Blake. And I know you're a very sharp baseball guy.
Hitting over 620 with Dylan Cruz on base
crazy.
is
That's nuts.
well, it's not it's not crazy. You know what it is? It's unheard of, like literally. Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
agree with you. I'm going to say this here. The debate for me, Carter, is not Dylan Cruz. It's Paul Skeens.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Like I think that Skeens is the one that if I said Paul Skeens is a top 5 player to ever put on an LSU uniform, people will, number one, go to the career, right? Like, whoa,
Right.
he was only here for 1 year. Shit.
That 1 year was great.
It was Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
let me ask you this,
No,
Carter.
it
If
was
Joe Burrow would have only been in here in 2019 and did what he did, would he not be the best LSU football player of all time?
To me, yes, he still is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's what Paul Skeens did. Okay, like
Right.
everybody's like, oh, well, Blake, he had 2 losses. Joe had 3 in his career. Like, calm down and, relax, Kemosabe. What this guy did is a lot like Joe Burrow-esque. Like, dude, you can't talk to anybody, and to some aspects, people that don't follow college baseball, they don't say when like some LSU's doing good, oh man, that dude Cruz is good. You know what they all said last year? Hey, bro, Paul Skeens is on another planet, right? And so, although I think Dylan Cruz is the best baseball player because you got to add in his career, I still think overall Paul Skeens. Look, if we're going to do a top 5, like a Mount Rushmore of LSU athletes, for me, I'm just going to be real with you, and you're not going to like this, okay? Like I would put Burrow, Shaq, Cruz, Skeens, and maybe an honorable mention. You can pick whoever you want. Okay, Tyrann Mathieu. Okay,
right. I think I would separate single seasons. I will say this,
but
hold on. I will say this one thing.
How can you separate single seasons?
Right.
He might be the best overall player that we've ever seen, period, because he's a max contract potential Hall of Famer. And Carter, he might be the only LSU baseball player to ever be in the Major League Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would agree from this standpoint. Paul Skeens,
Pistol, I forgot about Pistol. Sorry.
Well, you were mostly focusing on modern guys anyway, so that's a different debate. Okay, and then Mondo, I get it. So we'll get into football now, but here's one thing I'll say. All right, for the Dick Hauser and the Golden Spikes, you have to understand when the voting happened. Like one of the ESPN announcers clarified that Paul Skeens' postseason career wasn't included in the voting process.
Well, and neither was Dylan's.
Right, but Paul Skeens is.
I don't agree with that. That's not true because I had 20 votes and I gave 10 to Cruz and I gave 10 to Skeens.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was in the postseason.
Oh, so you had a Golden Spikes vote?
Well, everybody did. It's a fan vote.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought. Okay, so the way that it might have been a different award. I might have been confused. But
yeah, the Dick Hauser Award is based off the regular season. It is
okay. So
postseason.
I will say Paul Skeens' postseason was so good. Like, I mean,
how about this? Tulane scored more runs on him than anybody else in postseason combined. How about that?
That's a crazy stat. But yeah, I mean, considering that and all that, and obviously the bullpen saving the day and Ty Floyd and everybody, it truly was, a special run. And I think the real LSU fans, Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz, are going to be household names forever. But I think everybody is going to remember, that are true LSU fans will remember Beloso, Dugas, Morgan, and everybody else. So obviously it's really cool.
Yeah, and I forgot about Pistol Pete. That's on me. I kind of just having a little bit of a brain fart on that one. All right, so I kind of want to ask one more baseball question because we got a lot of football I want to get into with you.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
Greatest LSU baseball team of all time?
I'm not qualified to answer that because my baseball knowledge.
You just could have said yes, and I could be like,
yeah, okay, I know, but my baseball knowledge pre 2009 is not great. So
okay, well,
I will rely on. I will say yes. I will say
Okay,
yes.
there you go. Just allow me to say,
I will say yes.
and I will have that fight with anybody. I'll have that fight with anybody. All right.
I'll say yes.
Let's move to a little football here. Oh, somebody asked, did you hear the Thatcher Hurd story about them taking Rhett Lauder's DoorDash?
That was great. That was
So
great.
good. So good.
God, Todd Graves just keeps getting W's, man.
Man, let me tell you. So
Keeps
listen to
getting
this.
W's.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Keeps
Todd-
getting W's.
Todd, you better get me a free Caniac, bro, because I'm about to give you a free plug. So listen, a business owner friend of mine, okay, after today calls me, okay, and says, hey, man, like Raising Cane sponsors LSU players in NIL like that. I'm like, brother. I mean, like, brother.
Yes.
Okay. And so, bro, he has like 150 employees. Okay. So he calls me and he buys the entire office.
No.
Yes.
No.
Raising Cane's.
God, how does Todd keep winning?
He keeps winning. He
Yeah,
goes,
dude,
well,
you
if that
can't-
man's going to support LSU so I can feel good about national titles, then I'm going to go support Todd Graves. And you know what? That is the ROI that people don't realize.
That you know, yeah. Here's one final. This will be my final argument on the Jello shot thing. Okay, I know.
God, you are having such a time with this Jello shot thing.
No. The Jello shot thing. Obviously, we talked about it at length, more so on my channel than on yours. But I will say this. Okay, the fact that Florida and Tennessee had such few Jello shots, the 66,000.
It's alarming. That's alarming.
The 66,000 for LSU really doesn't shock anybody. That does not shock a single LSU person.
Right.
But how is there not one Florida or Tennessee businessman out there? If they just buy 1,000 shots,
fans weren't there like LSU's.
but if I was a Tennessee businessman, I would have been like, okay, 5K ad spend for 1,000 shots. Do you know how much ROI Gordon and Todd got for buying all those shots? That's all everyone was talking about.
That's all everybody was talking about.
My phone was
you know what's
blowing
even
up.
more wild? You know what's even more wild is if Ty Graves and Gordon McKernan didn't do that,
Exactly.
they still would have beat it.
They still would have lapped everybody.
That's the funny thing for me. That's the crazy thing for me. All right, let's go to the offense because Carter, I mentioned before you came on about like, man, now we're getting to a point where like me and you have come on this show and we've talked a lot of individual stuff, right? Like this player, that player, this player, that player, this player, that player. We're getting so close to on the field, on the Ponderosa. I want to go offense. Garrett Nussmeier winning the Freak of the Week thing really sells for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jane Daniels going to number 2 in the Heisman odds, somebody put in here. If that's true.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. A lot of sharp money came in on LSU when the first national championship board was released. And there was a lot.
Is that good historically or bad historically?
Well, so when it opened, it was plus 2,000, and a lot of really smart people, from what I've heard, took LSU immediately, and that's why you can't. I mean, I guess the best number you could probably get right now is plus 1,400 for LSU to win a national championship.
And that is a massive swing at plus 600, like minus 600. That's
That's
massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that really like LSU. Even some of the media that don't that aren't affiliated with LSU. Like, well, we're not affiliated with LSU, but fans of LSU, right? There's a lot of
we're affiliated with LSU. I mean,
not like official LSU athletics,
but then neither are they. But continue,
right? And they're bet. A lot of people think LSU is going to win the West next year, and obviously the thing that is going to be the most anticipated. This is going to be the most anticipated SEC media days in quite some time, Blake.
You think so?
For this reason, right? This will be the first media vote that we have had in a long time where
Alabama's not number 1.
Alabama's not the pick to the West. And I've been to SEC media days. I've been a lot to SEC media days. And every year, people would just go through, fill out their ballots really quickly. Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, whatever. Sounds like a, bad country song, but it was every single year. Everybody was picking Alabama. And I think this is going to be the first time in quite some time that LSU will be picked to win the West.
Well, let's
And
see if they. So let's get to like how they can, because I think I want to take a deeper level. Do you think it's because of a lot of things going on offensively?
yeah, I
Because
think,
defensively, if that's the argument, that means that Carter defensively they got a lot that we don't know about. So, which means to tell me offensively that they think that something's going to happen.
right. No, I mean, there's a lot of people bullish on LSU's offense in general. Now, this is going to be the big thing for me, Blake. As you know, I look at football stuff every single day. And essentially, one of the big things about LSU's offense last year was their total statistics, right? Third down percentage,
Right.
3-and-out percentage, touchdown percentage.
The things you need to win in to win.
Right. They were fine outside of, as you know, the explosive play battle, right? And the overall yard per play. The issue is a lot of those numbers for the LSU offense was swayed because they played 4 very easy games, right? They blew Purdue out, and that was a JV Purdue team. And then the 3 non-Power 5 teams that they played was just straight domination, right? So LSU's offense in those 4 games was so cartoonishly good that it honestly made their numbers look a lot better than they actually were. Now, they were still a really good
Can I
offense.
make the argument that everybody else has those games too?
What's that?
Meaning, like, if the argument is that LSU blew out these 4 not really good teams that inflated their numbers, well, so did everybody else.
But that's the thing. Not everybody else does that, right? Normally,
Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Oklahoma, all the top offenses, they played those games.
yes. But if you actually go back, I mean, there was a game where Georgia struggled in the first half with one of their non-big teams. I don't remember which one.
Georgia Tech.
Well, yeah, Georgia Tech, and there were other. There was one other one. I think it was like Kent State or somebody that they struggled with early. The point being is LSU's offense was really explosive in those games, and they weren't explosive in the actual Power 5 games outside of the one against Purdue and Ole Miss and Florida. And I think one thing offensively that Brian Kelly is really going to work on this offseason is getting out to faster starts, because there was just too many first quarters, especially early in the season, Blake, where the offense was just very anemic. Now,
do you count that to experience?
Yeah, a lot of it's experience. A lot of it, let's say so. For instance, I rewatched the Florida State game today, and that honestly, I just think the Florida State game from last year was such a wash because the guys that were no longer part of the rotation by week 3 really hurt them in that game.
Cam Wire.
Yeah, and
I'm not going to name one because I'm not, but I know.
Yeah. I'm not going to name any names because best of luck to them. But those and not having Harold Perkins out there was killer, right? It was a game changer.
Well, and losing Mason Smith hurt too.
Yeah, and one thing that was really interesting to kind of shift gears here, and I'll talk more about this tonight. But just really quickly, Blake, as you being a former offensive lineman, Florida State, the basis of their offense is counter, right? They love to pull their guys from one side to the other. Basic. And then obviously there's counter G, counter Y, counter GY, whatever. LSU did really good on that play defensively last year. They did a really good job fitting the run on counter plays for the most part. Where they had issues was getting off the field on third down. And something else, I think, Blake, from that game is Jordan Travis was so freaking good in that game. And that was one of the best quarterback performances I have ever seen from an opposing quarterback versus LSU. He just threw dot after dot after dot. And part of the reason why I think that was the case was because LSU's defense couldn't get off the field on third down. And Jordan was able to get some really good rhythm throws early in the game, pitch and catch. And you saw the game, Blake. He was on sicko mode, right? He looked very special. And obviously going into this next game, I thought LSU did fine fitting counter, but obviously when they play Florida State, get a few hits on him early, right? Because obviously the hits on him late didn't really do anything because he was just in such a zone.
Yeah, and Florida State got better offensively. I mean, they got Keon Coleman. They got the tight end from South Carolina, whose name slips me for whatever reason at the current moment.
Jaheim Bell.
Jaheim Bell.
Yeah.
They got better. My only thought about Travis would be, didn't he face a rusty team? Did he face a team that didn't know, like a sluggish team? Because I think everybody had a sluggish game. I think a lot of players did. I think that your defensive coordinator did. I think he got out coached. I think he got out schemed. And I think House got better as the season went on.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But my thing is that if you can find a way to win week 1, I just don't know if I see look, you play in the SEC, you can lose. But this team is so talented and like, I don't know if I want to say this, but I just feel like it's true. I think LSU got better and some other teams got worse.
I agree with that.
In the SEC, right? So where LSU got better and these teams got worse, like, I worry more now, Carter, about the Florida State game than Alabama. Like, Alabama doesn't worry me. I don't think that they have a quarterback on that roster right now that can beat you. Like, right now, today's date. They don't have him. Okay?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Jalen Milroe will have to go off. Ty Simpson will have to go off. Tyler Buckner would have to go off. I don't think they have the play calling that can beat you. So when I start putting a lot of these things together, I don't want to, like, preface my show and say to people, like, because, Carter, we're in June, but I just feel like if I came out here and said LSU is going to win the national championship, I think I can make a strong claim.
No, that's fair. That's very sound. They're a top 5, top 10 team.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to answer it. Can you name a position group offensively? Because I'm going to get with defense with you next week. Offensively, can you name a group that they're not a top 5 unit going into the season in?
The top 5 in the SEC or nationally?
Nationally.
Oh, well, let's see. I would say tight end, probably, like, not top 5.
So they don't have Mason Taylor's not a top 5 tight end. That's basically what we're saying.
No. He's close. No, he's definitely in the top 10, but as like a room, I would say Georgia's deeper. Obviously, Florida State's got a really good tight end room, as you just mentioned. And then I would guess I would have to find others nationally. I don't know if I would come.
Okay, so tight end basically is what I'm saying. Like, tight end being the only position, maybe.
Right.
Name another. Because, Carter, I think offensive line-wise, I think it's going to be the best offensive line. That 2019 offensive line got so much discredit, but they were so freaking good running the football.
They're good.
I'm going to say this, and people are going to rip on me all day long. I could make the argument they were elite. Like, they got 4 dudes that start.
Well, they won the Joe Moore. So
they got 4 NFL guys that start right now. Deculus is the only one that doesn't.
No, I know. They're top 5.
I think they're going to be better than that one because I think they're deeper. And
okay.
The ultimate wild card for me is like, man, look, do you move in Emory Jones to right guard? Does Mason Lunsford move to left guard where he played a lot of snaps last year because Miles Frazier may or may not be struggling? Do you have one? I mean, like Will Campbell, Lance Hurd, and then Emory Jones. Like, you got some really damn good offensive linemen. I still think I can make the argument for receiver, okay, because I think this Kyle Parker kid has come in and said, y'all put me a 3-star, watch what I'm about to do to your ass, because he's lighting everybody up. I'm watching the practice film, and he's lighting everybody up on the film, along with Kyron Lacey. Again, Carter, like, I don't want to say this because it just gets to a point where I'm like, hey, man, Blake, you came out here and said that we're going to be good, and Orgeron's burned me twice, but I know what I see in the talent. Now that I have the coach, I think it's different. I just don't want to be that guy that says that you could be there at the end, but I do feel like if you don't get to a playoff, it might be a little bit of a letdown.
No, it is. I mean, it just is. I mean, when you return a fifth-year quarterback and both your tackles, and by the way, I'm very pro Mason Taylor. I was just saying, as a room, you don't have anybody else in that room.
You got 3 freshmen. You have 3 freshmen.
So
technically, you have the Gilbreth kid, right? That is going to come in and block a lot. Okay, let's call it what it is. So once again, I was just saying, I heard that kid's already put on like 20 pounds.
There you go, man. He mows people down, man. He's old school. I like it. He wears no wrist tape too. If you're barehanded tight end, that means
does JUCO actually afford wrist tape?
I mean,
because
give the guy some gloves. I mean, give him something. No, he's barehanded, man. He's Ray Nietzsche.
Yeah, he's not fancy.
Yeah, he's ready to get after it. But
what if he comes out there dapper donned up in game 1 because he's at LSU and not
full sleeves and a dark visor.
Full sleeve, a dark visor. He's got the black spat on.
Got a neck roll.
He's like he says, call it the mash burn. That's what his neck roll is.
I love it. But no, I agree that they're pretty good everywhere offensively. It's just going to come down to efficiency and all of that. And honestly, I saw my guy Van, and I've known Van for a while now. It's going to come down to special teams. We'll talk about that at a later date. So there you go.
Yeah, and we were just talking about offensively, like defensively.
Yeah,
I do think defensively there's a lot of question marks. I think you got players and dudes, but I just think you have question marks and you got to feel. I think you're better, but on the back, I think you're you got more talent. Like Carter, I think that this team defensively, and we'll get into this next week, I think defensively you're more talented than you were a year ago, like individualized talent. But that team last year had a lot of experience in that back end. Jay Ward, Bernard Converse, Mekhi Gardner, Seven Banks, even though he didn't play, but he still had a lot of experience.
Yeah,
a lot. Greg Brooks, Joe Fouché. I mean, that was a lot of seniors, man. Now you get
adults.
You get Andre Sam in here. I think he's a wild. Like I really believe he's a wild card.
Yeah, and look, they need to use him the way they used him at Marshall.
Put Big Daddy in the slot. That's what I say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what Matt's going to do. I mean, I know he's been chomping at the bit to get another shot at Jordan Travis because overall,
that was his worst game.
I wouldn't say it was his worst game. I mean, I think A&M was.
Well, he can't do anything about A&M. His guys are not giving it to him. Pause. I mean, Carter, they got obliterated up front. There's nothing else I think he could do. I think that they were going to lose the game no matter what. I thought Tennessee would be the game that you would say that, but Tennessee, I mean.
It was such a bad special teams game.
Special teams game, you didn't get it on 4th down.
Yeah.
I don't think that was on him. I think, you know why I think it was the worst called game that he had all year?
Let's hear it.
Because like A&M and Georgia up front, they got physically abused. They weren't ready. Right? Like they got physically abused. Absolutely. And there's not a lot you can do. Like you still got to protect Stetson Bennett from throwing the football. You got Connor Weigman who can still throw it. And he did. A lot of those play actions. I mean, Connor Weigman had a great game. He's going to be a good quarterback. For me, Florida State was the worst because I knew he got out schemed. Right? Like he got out schemed in that one.
On 3rd and long, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
1,000% got out schemed. Like, and I love him to death. But Mike Jones having to cover 2/3 of the middle of the field. What are we doing?
Yeah, no.
You know what? Everybody blames Mike Jones on that. And I never said this during the year because Mike is my dude. Okay.
Yeah, no, Mike's a great guy.
What are we doing? Like, he's not the guy that you like. send Penn back there. Send Baskerville back there. Don't put Mike Jones, who is a thumper, in that situation, knowing that that's not his game. He's not. He's Devin White-ish, freak-wise. He's not Quan Alexander.
Yeah, I just think, the early third down pitch and catch conversions were just backbreakers for LSU in that game.
No doubt.
But I will say, for his first game between the headset, going up against Mike Norvell, who is a really good play caller, I thought overall they were fine, especially when you see like the face of the defense tear his knee into pieces on the first drive. That's jarring. But yeah, I mean, I think defensively they're gonna be a lot better next year. I really do.
Carter, the Power, Bryant. See you next Monday, dude. We're back.
Dylan Cruz the GOAT. All right, bud.
All right, later, man. All right, let's get to our final breaks here. So let's go about our good friend Steve Bean over at Bayou Daiquiri and Bayou Bowl to Go. We're back in 30 seconds. Stay with us. Bayou Daiquiris at Bayou Bowl and Go is owned and operated locally by Steve and Lisa Bean. You can find them at 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington, Louisiana. That's 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington. The North Shore's first crawfish drive-thru is about to step it up another notch by bringing you drive-thru daiquiris as well. You can call in your order today at 985-888-1914, 985-888-1914, because you know what? Daiquiris and crawfish, it's a Louisiana thing. I need to hit on this NCAA thing, but I don't really have the time to. We'll get to those later. It was good to have Carter back. We extended his time, but it was good. It was good. All right. We'll see y'all Saturday. Don't go anywhere. We'll see y'all soon. If I don't talk to you, don't see us. Have a good 4th of July weekend and week. Peace.